city is on edge.
You don't want National Guard on every corner. This is where the ask comes. I can do this on my own, or we can work together.
You tried lightly this time. You're gonna make a mess.
Yeah, well, I love making messes.
Maybe there's some justice in the world. Someone cares about the truth.
You make sure the right thing's done.
It's bigger than the two of us now.
Huge fight this weekend. Usman and Masvidal step into the octagon for their rematch of their fight last summer, and DraftKings has you covered. Download the top-rated DraftKings Sportsbook app now and use the promo code SMOKE when you sign up and turn $5 into $130. If the title contender you choose wins. Usman looks pretty unstoppable right now, but Masvidal is no chump. The guy can definitely throw him, and he knows this could be his last shot at a title. We'll see on Saturday. Get your bet in now with DraftKings Sportsbook, the official sports betting partner of the UFC. 26-1 odds. Bet $5 on either fighter to win, and if they walk out with the belt, you cash out $130. DraftKings is safe, secure, and reliable, so you can deposit and withdraw your funds at your convenience. DraftKings Sportsbook app. Code SMOKE. $5 can turn into $130 if the fighter you choose takes home the crown. This promotion is only for a limited time, only at DraftKings Sportsbook. Gregor_G, number one player you wouldn't want to sit on a plane next to.
I probably would want to sit next to either security or Tony Parker.
Same thing, right?
Yeah, that's the same thing. They both the laws. They both gonna tell on me.
This motherfucking Jack used to just, it smelled like you would just pour the weed into your backpack with no Ziploc or nothing and just walk on the plane with that brown Louis bag.
I've grown.
Right. Now you just put it in your pocket. Welcome back to another episode of What's Burning. Let's get right to it. Who's hot, who's not? Jack, as I predicted at All-Star that the Celtics would get hot second half of the season. They're 10-3 in their last 13 games, top 10 in offense and defense during that span. Tatum's averaging 30 points a game, shooting 50, 40, 90. Boston, for the most part, is pretty healthy right now. Thoughts on what they've been doing thus far in this second half of the season?
Well, this is what we both said. You know, we both said that this team was getting ready for the playoffs, and the coach is doing. The team is doing so well. The coach got a $70 million deal from a college team. So,
right,
hey,
crazy.
man, hey, these guys are all healthy, like you said. Marcus Smart is back. This team has finally found their identity again, and they want to go into the playoffs rolling, and they're playing like it, man. They're gonna be a scary team.
Yeah, no, I completely agree. I think they're going to actually sneak up and get that fourth seed. They're getting hot at the right time, secure that first round home court. But Boston is one of those teams, and the reason why I love it, because they've been battle-tested, bro. They've been to the Eastern Finals, Tatum's rookie year against Braun. They've been to the Eastern Finals last year against Miami. This team knows what it takes, and I think the X factor is going to be Kemba Walker's consistency. They need that third scorer. You know what you're getting out of Tatum and Brown. Their bigs are playing well. Their other role players are playing well. What's Kemba going to be able to give you, and is he going to stay healthy? And also, one last thing. Brad Stevens gets a $70 million offer from a college job, but they say they don't have enough money to pay kids. That motherfucker is
That's crazy, dog. That's
see
crazy,
you.
man.
But, man, love what Boston's doing, and excited to see what they're going to do come playoff time. Next up, Jack, a team you said at the beginning of the season ain't shit, ain't never gonna be shit. The New York Knicks have caught a little bit of fire. They've won 6 straight. First 6-game winning streak since 2014. They went 545 games in between at least a 5-game winning streak, which is crazy. R.J. Barrett is shooting the ball extremely well from the three-point line over that stretch. Thoughts on the Knicks?
It shines on the dog ass every now and then, Matt. My thoughts are exact the same. Hell, the fucking Bad News Bears won 6 games in a row. So, look, I knew Rondo was going to be good when he was in L.A. I just knew he didn't get the opportunity and the time to be the player that he's growing into be. Quickly and Barrett, 2 young guards, they're going to be all right. But I know this team is not going to make no serious noise. Yeah, it's good for the New York Knicks fans and for Worldwide West and them trying to get the Knicks organization going in the right direction. But we all know that they're not going to be a championship team. No time soon, excuse me.
Definitely not a championship team, but I think it's got to be baby steps because they've been dog shit, stepping in baby shit for so long. It's got to be baby steps going forward. And I think, obviously making the playoffs is a great first step. I don't think Thibodeau's getting enough credit for what he's been able to do, turning around the mentality of this roster and the way they approach games. They're out there playing defense. I love that the Derrick Rose trade has paid off well for them. He's been playing really well. So it's fun to see. Julius Randle, I mean, although he won't be, can definitely be in that MVP conversation with the numbers he's been putting up this season. So love to see it. Making the playoffs is just the first step. Winning a couple games in that first round and knowing you have something to build on is kind of where I see this team. But happy for them and, love what Julius Randle's been able to do this season. Continue on with who's hot. The light-skinned assassin, Steph Curry, has been on a tear over his last 8 games, averaging nearly 41 points a game, 10 straight 30-point games, tying Kobe for such streaks of players 33 and older. So this dude is on a goddamn tear right now, and it's beautiful to watch. Thoughts on your former teammate, although brief because you didn't believe in him?
That's crazy, right? I had no idea he was
going
gonna be. I had no idea he was gonna be the chef.
But it's funny. Before you get said, but remember how crazy the fans were when they decided to trade Monte and build with Steph? Like the Warrior fans went crazy, but they saw something, man. Hats off to them.
They went crazy, but you said this at the beginning of the season that Steph was gonna have a spectacular, damn near unbelievable year for this team to even be in the playoff hunt.
Right,
and they still been dealing with injury, and he's still stepping up to the plate, still has his team in a good position, a better position that they thought they was going to be in. So, man, hats off to Steph, one of the game changers, man, one of the culture changers, one of the best three-point shooter of all time, man. He's just doing what he do, and just the fact that he's doing it with all the adversity, with guys continuously to go down, and not having Clay, it says even more about him.
Yeah, I mean, I said at the beginning of the season we were going to get to see his version of James Harden basketball. You know what I mean? Mm-hmm. When he's the 1, 2, and 3rd option on that team. And, he's been shooting the ball extremely well, putting up good shooting numbers as well, along with points. And it's just special to see, man. I hope people appreciate what they're getting to see this year because I think so often people want to hate or make this, and talk shit. Instead of just appreciate, man, this dude is putting on a great show. His team, although, struggle, they're in the 10th slot. They'll most likely be in the play-in situation, but just the way he's been able to shoot the ball, that Boston game the other night with him and Tatum going back and forth, man, was one for the ages. So, man, salute Steph. Keep doing your thing, bro. Now shifting to the week ahead, we got a nice week of basketball starting on Tuesday with the Clippers-Blazers. If the season ended now, this would be the first-round matchup. Clippers are 8-1 since Rondo stepped on the court for them. They just got Kawhi back. And although Rondo's numbers aren't staggering, he's at about 6.5 points a game, 5 assists in 18 minutes. I just think his presence completely changes this Clippers style of play. Jack, in a 7-game series, healthy Blazers, healthy Clippers, who you got?
I think it's a toss-up, man.
Real?
I can't really give any team the head up without watching them play. Any team can win in the 7-game series, and each team has guys that can win a whole series, let alone win a game. So it'll be great for basketball. It'll be exciting to watch. You have Paul George and Kawhi going against Dame Lillard and CJ, and then the big guys. I think on the big guy side, if Nurkic is healthy, I think Portland has the edge in the paint. So we'll see how that will play out, but I can't give it to either team. That's something I want to see.
We're going to have to see, and I completely agree. And I'd hate that this is most likely going to be a first-round matchup. There's some space in between each spots going as we continue forward because, to me, these are both teams that can get hot and battle in that Western Conference Finals against anybody. So I hate to see it in the first round, but it's going to be great basketball. And I agree. Dame has been doing his thing all season. CJ's back in rhythm. This team is finally getting healthy. Melo's been hot. The pickup, the trade they got from Toronto has been playing well. Big fella's coming back. And then again, the Clippers, like we spoke on last week, they've just been floating under the radar this year, getting everything together. Paul George has been as hot as he can be, and we'll touch on him a little later. This team looks really good, so this is going to be a great first-round matchup if this is what it ends up being. Moving along, Wednesday, Hawks, Knicks, playoff implications, both still battling for seeding. This could be the 4-5 matchup, which would be interesting. Both teams are hot. Who do you feel like will finish higher in the standings?
Another. It's hard to tell again. Both teams have great coaches that's found a way to motivate them. I think both teams are finally starting to come into their own. I would have to say, being in New York,
They're only a half game apart. Atlanta's only a half game up on Boston and the Knicks.
Yeah, I see Atlanta falling. I see Boston getting ahead of them. So, but if they had to play, I think it'll be another toss-up. Like I said, both teams are still new to this. Both teams are still trying to, see what the playoffs is like. And both have new coaches that's finally starting to motivate their team. So I think they're in the same spot.
Yeah, I agree. But I also think Boston's going to get that 4 seed, which will be unfortunate because I thought this would have been a cool first-round matchup because then one of these young teams had to go to the second round because someone is going to win it. But I think Boston's going to slide into that 4 spot, so it's going to mess this up. But, both teams, again, heading in the right direction. Nate McMillan has done a great job since going over to the Hawks. We spoke on the Knicks earlier and what Thibodeau's been able to get those guys encouraged to do. So, again, both teams, trending in the right direction. And this is going to be a feel-out process. This is going to be a good taste of what these young teams are going to get to see in the playoffs for the first time. So, agreed. Continuing to look ahead, Wednesday, Nuggets, Blazers, a potential 4 or 5 matchup. Obviously, Jamal Murray went down with the torn ACL. The Nuggets are 2-0 since he's gone down. How crucial is the Aaron Gordon pickup, and what do you see from Denver? Because we both agreed, with JaVale being underappreciated and Aaron Gordon going to that team, that they were definitely right in that top to be representing the Western Conference.
You know what? Their management is looking like geniuses right now because having Aaron Gordon for that security blanket after that injury, I think it's a blessing for them. And he is really gonna. I have to say this, Matt. He's gonna have a big playoff run because this is his first time where he's on a team like this in the Western Conference. It's new to him. The basketball is different on the West Side, as you know. And I think a new life is going to come into Gordon. And I'm excited the fact that I'm not excited the fact that Murray got hurt, but I'm excited the fact that his role is going to pick up on this team. And I think it's just the right time.
Yeah, I mean, he's going to have to play big for them in the playoffs along with Michael Porter Jr. I think both these young players are going to really find their own this round in the playoffs. But I don't think you can, Jamal Murray was incredible last year in the bubble in the playoffs, so you're not going to be able to replace that. Be honest with you, I really don't see them making a strong push. Like I said before, I think Jamal Murray injury is going to be too big to overcome. I would love to see them do it. I just honestly don't think they have enough firepower now. But, if Porter Jr. and Aaron Gordon can each give you 20 a game in the playoffs with Joker, you never know what this team can do. But a lot's going to be riding on these young wing players' shoulders.
They don't make them like you no more, man. There's a lot of light skin over there. They ain't got tattoos and stuff like you, so they got to get a little tougher.
They still go hard, though.
They go hard.
Sixers and Bucks square off twice this week, Thursday and Saturday. A potential second round or Eastern Conference final matchup. Sixers only a game and a half ahead of Brooklyn to keep the home court throughout. Milwaukee's only 2.5 games behind the Nets and still have 2 games face-to-face. This top 3 seeding in the East is going to jump around before it's all said and done. How do you see it finishing out in 1, 2, and 3 in the East?
Man, I had the Nets finishing out at 1, but KD then went down again with a thigh contusion, and Embiid has came back with something on his mind. So I see it staying Sixers 1, Nets 2. And Milwaukee 3. I think the Philadelphia 76ers are going to ride this thing out, and they're really going to take off going into the playoffs.
Yeah, I agree again. We both had the Nets eventually making the rise to number 1. But, again, to me, it doesn't really matter much. Although Philly's record is not very good on the road, to have home court I think means a lot more to them throughout. But it's going to be, I agree with you, I think it's going to be Philly, Nets, Milwaukee, and then Boston to round out that top 4. But, I mean, anybody can get hot at the right time in that Eastern Conference and represent the East. Although we're giving the nod to Brooklyn when they're healthy, like you said, Embiid is on a mission. Doc has these dudes playing great. Ben Simmons is out here talking big shit to everyone. I love to see it. Milwaukee has just quietly continued to stay consistent. Giannis knows all this regular season, the shit doesn't matter. We need to see it in the playoffs. And then again, Boston's getting hot with, behind Tatum and Brown. So, man, this is going to be a fun playoffs. I'm excited to get this shit going.
Yeah, and I want the Nets to play Philadelphia because you talking about you the defensive stop of the year. Man, Kyrie had 30 that night, and KD gonna give you 32. So I don't want to hear all that.
Hey, but keep talking your shit, bro.
Keep talking your shit though. We like that.
Yeah, I love it. Finishing out the week ahead, we have the Phoenix Suns, who this season were my surprise team, and they have not let me down. Shout out to Book and CP. They're only a game and a half behind Utah, Jack, for that number 1 seed. We saw Donovan Mitchell go down with an ankle injury. Not sure how long he's going to be out. They could potentially move to this 1 seed, but they're definitely going to be tested this week coming up as they play the Sixers Wednesday, the Celtics Thursday, and the Nets Sunday, all on the road. This is going to be a great test, and I think, Phoenix has exceeded all expectations. I don't give a fuck what you say. If Steve Nash can be MVP when he made his run in Phoenix, when guys were averaging 30, you could put Chris Paul right in that mix too, because they're doing similar things to the same franchise. And like I said, this is a team that was been in the gutter until CB came and revitalized it. So thoughts on their 3-game upcoming East Coast swing, but just the overall season for the Suns?
Well, one, I agree with you. CP should definitely be in the MVP race, and if Steve Nash can win 2, he definitely can win 1. But we know that ain't gonna happen. We know that ain't gonna happen. We know what time it is. But anyway, it's gonna be good for them. You know, going into the end of the season and the way they playing, this is some great test for them going into the playoffs. I think they probably can pull out a couple of these games, but it's going to be tough on the road because the teams they're playing, the Celtics and especially Philadelphia, they're rolling right now, and I don't think they're going to let them come in and get a win. The Nets, they probably can get. I think that's the game they probably can get because that team is still kind of beat up, and James and KD might be out. But the Philadelphia game and the Celtics game is going to be tough for them.
Yeah, I mean, I just get how that, like, every game means so much to this team, and I respect it. And, I think it's because they haven't won in such a long time, so this winning thing is new to them, and it's fun. I mean, when you win, it's fun, and Devin Booker's never had, since he's been in Phoenix, hasn't been on a winning team. So these guys are playing hard on both ends of the floor every night. Do I think they'll do anything in the playoffs? You never know. I really don't see them making a strong run as good as they play in the regular season. I hate saying this because Chris is my dog, but I just don't think they have enough. I would love to see him do it, and definitely going to be rooting for him. But I think it's going to be tough sledding when it comes to the playoffs. But man, hats off to what they've been doing, and I hope they can prove me wrong. And I would love to see them grab that number 1 seed in the West, to be honest with you, though, and win the Western, win the division. Now we got On the Radar, presented to you by Draftkings. Simmons and Gobert are IG shit talking about this Defensive Player of the Year. Ben said Gobert guarded him when they played. He dropped 42, and he's not even supposed to be an offensive player. Gobert responds with, confidence is silent, insecurities are loud. DraftKings has the odds on either one of these guys winning Defensive Player of the Year at Gobert minus 335 and Simmons plus 230. Both teams at the top of the league in defense. Thoughts on them shit talking back and forth, and in your opinion, who's going to win Defensive Player of the Year?
I love the back and forth. I think Simmons is going to win it. I mean, Simmons even was willing to take a jab at himself to prove his point, which I love. I can't even shoot, score, dribble, couldn't hit a house if I was in the kitchen. But I gave him 42, and he's supposed to be the Defensive Player of the Year. You're right. I just sit here and think about what would Tim Duncan and them do to Rudy Gobert. And you want to be Defensive Player of the Year. You get dominated by Embiid every time. So I'm going Simmons. I think Simmons has a harder task with chasing these small guards around, but he's figured it out. Okay, y'all saying I'm not an offensive player, I can't do this. I'm just going to be a defensive stopper. I'm going to use my length. I'm going to use my speed. I'm going to use all my athleticism and be one of the best defensive players ever. And I'm glad he's starting to go into that role.
Yeah, I mean, he's a monster on D, and the reason why I give him an edge, too, is because he can potentially guard everybody on the floor. You know, Simmons is 6'10", guarding, like you said, anywhere from Kyrie to having to fuck around and guard Gobert, although Gobert is not much of an offensive threat. That's just the versatility of Simmons. So I agree. I think Ben should get the nod. You never know how it goes. But I like the talking. I definitely like the talking. And I think it's good for the game. So we'll see who ends up winning Defensive Player of the Year. But, my vote, if I had one, which I never will, would go to Simmons.
We never will, right?
Never will. Let's keep it real. Fan questions now. We're going to get started with Jen_Ashton25. What are your thoughts on DWade buying into Jazz ownership?
Can't hear the name Ashton and not say what's up to young Ashton Barnes.
Yeah,
That's my little homie, man. Shout out to the little homie, man.
Shout out Lil Ash.
Little Ash. But check this out, though. I think it's dope. I think it would have been even more dope if it was the Miami Heat. You know what I'm saying? But the fact that Utah understand that, hey, we've been labeled as such and such and such and such for a long time. We need to change this around, get a new face to this thing, bring some color to this thing, especially with everything going on. So I love it. I applaud Utah. I'm happy for D-Wade. That's our boy. And, hey, Flash from going to another journey in his life.
Yeah, man, I love seeing just us represented in these kind of spaces. We got a chance to talk to Renee Montgomery, obviously, owner of the partial owner of the Dream now. You see D-Wade in Utah. Obviously, we would have loved to see him in Miami. Somehow that didn't work out, but I mean, he's an owner of an NBA team now, and I mean, that's the ultimate goal. I'm sure that was the ultimate goal for him, so it's a beautiful thing to see, and couldn't agree more with getting color and diversity in management over there, especially with everything that's going on today, and there's some controversy that that surrounds D-Wade from the fathering situation with with his daughter now too. So it's just interesting to see the dynamic that brings someone amazing as D-Wade to your organization can really start to change the way people view you, because it has been negative. Like I said, we both love that Utah fan base, but it is racist sometimes. At some point, there were times where we were called nigger while we were playing. You know what I mean? So again, to add someone like D-Wade in today's climate, with all the amazing things he brings with him, I think is only a plus. So shout out D-Wade.
Fan question number 2, Andre Sajia Comey. What was the most memorable? Is that right?
Yeah.
You like that, Matt? Did you like that?
Yeah, and I added homie on the end to Zia Comey.
Sajia Comey, homie. What's the most memorable moment you witnessed on the court? Shout out from Brazil. Huge fan of the podcast. Dope shit. Keep it up. Salute, homie.
Jack, when I played for Lob City, I got a chance to witness a murder on the court.
Yellow tape?
Man, yellow taped him. I ain't seen him since. CP threw a lob to DeAndre, and for some reason, Brandon Knight tried to block it, and it was the craziest shit I've ever seen on the court. And if you guys see that video, at first people never caught it, but I think it's been ran so much. Like as soon as I see it, I jump up and down, cover my face, and I run off the court, run down the court, because I don't want to be questioned involved in a murder. I know what happens to these snitches out here. Actually, it's a new day now, but I just didn't want to get questioned for seeing my homeboy kill a man on the basketball court. So that was my most memorable moment on the court.
Oh man. My most memorable moment on the court probably would be, I would say those 7 threes in Game 6 in the We Believe year against Dallas. BD came to me before the game saying he didn't have it, he didn't feel good, and for some reason I knew I had to have a big game. I wasn't expecting to go out there and hit 7 threes, but as I hit one, Matt kept throwing me the ball every play down court. From out of bounds, everywhere, and I just kept shooting it, man. But that's my most memorable moment, 7 threes in the playoffs in a deciding game.
Yeah. I want to say I probably had 3 or 4 assists to you that game, just to you that game, because I almost had a triple-double that game.
Out of bounds, the one you threw behind,
yeah,
that was a dope one.
Dropping them off.
Next fan question, @self_not_self. Sometimes cannabis use can get a little too much. How do you guys keep the balance of staying focused and not over-medicating?
I think Jack is still learning this process, because this motherfucker be nodding off on me sometimes, and I'll have to nod him or super cue him. But it just comes with the territory, man. We've been doing it for so long. I've switched over to try to smoke in more hybrid sativas during the day, because I'm so active with kids and working and shit, and then put the heavy indicas to put me to sleep at night. But it's a thin line between love and hate.
I don't know. I think my goal is to do too much. I don't know. I'm not the one to answer that question. I'm over-medicating as much as I can, all right?
Right.
I'm actually over-medicated now. So, therefore, I'm not the one to answer this question. But, hey, I think you're going into it with the wrong attitude, okay? Don't go into it with thinking you're over-medicating. Just think you're over-relaxing, okay?
Yeah,
and don't go into it
enjoy
thinking you're over-medicating.
Yeah, enjoy it. Ain't nothing wrong with it. Next question, Gregor_G. Number one player you wouldn't want to sit on a plane next to. Size isn't a factor because you guys are all big guys. I would have to say a gassy motherfucker, to be honest with you. I remember DeAndre and Blake, when we played for the Clipper teams, used to be on all those fucking powders and muscle milks and all them shit, and them shitty motherfuckers would get on the plane and fuck the whole plane up. The stewardess used to have to come in with potpourri. I would start hitting my pen sometimes and blowing it just so we could get to cover up the smell. But them was some nasty motherfuckers, man. So I wouldn't want to sit to nobody that takes all the supplements, because they always got bad stomachs.
Me, I probably would want to sit next to either security or Tony Parker.
Same thing, right?
Yeah, that's the same thing. They both the laws. They both gonna tell on me. And I know I always had some green on me. So, yeah, I would want to sit next to the security or Tony Parker because they might tell on me.
This motherfucking Jack used to it smelled like you would just pour the weed into your backpack with no Ziploc or nothing and just walk on the plane with that brown Louis bag. This motherfucker didn't care about nothing. Anyway, moving on.
I've grown. Next fan question, at Max Pretzer. Among NBA legends who are no longer living, who do we wish we could have had on our show?
Ooh, that's a good question.
I know who. I already got mine.
I would say Wilt.
Man, come on. Hey, great minds think alike, baby.
Yeah, I would have to say Wilt. I have a lot of questions for Wilt, especially when it comes to women. I want to ask all these, I would have wanted to ask all those legendary rumors, and then obviously his greatness on the court. So that would definitely be my pick.
Yeah, Will would be my pick too. Just how interesting Will was, scoring 100 points, the lifestyle.
Super athlete.
Yeah, you know what I mean? Just before his time, everything about Will I'm interested in.
This Thursday, April 22nd, we drop a really dope episode with our girl Jeannie Buss. Enjoy the teaser.
How close was Kobe to the Clippers really happening?
You know, I never had that conversation with Kobe, but there was a game where he wore Clippers
A throwback,
colors.
right?
Yeah. And not even the jersey. He wore, like, the colors.
Oh, did he?
Yeah, like, very subtle. And I'm like, you know, I could see, like, he loves challenges.
He was unhappy.
You
He
know,
was
and, right? And that would have been, like, a
hell of a
huge thing,
challenge.
right? So, I mean, I do think that was something that was, you know, very
real.
possible.
Wow.
So you guys lose. Could you imagine that though?
Oh my God! That's why I
Because
said,
I
wow.
remember they
Change
were,
history.
bro. I remember they were talking about they were going to build an arena out in Orange County for him. He wouldn't have to travel now, and like the Clippers put the full court press to try to get Kobe, and I was just like, "There's no way this can happen." So that was crazy.
I would give up everything.
I got to, including children.
Yep.
So you guys lose in 2008 to Boston, come back the next year, beat Orlando, and get a chance for redemption in 2010.
Right.
Talk to us about that.
Okay, yeah. So like 2008, now we were humiliated by Boston in that game 6. We had to like fly. We barely won game 5, and now we have to go
To Boston.
and lose by 30 whatever points. And so now I've got grumpy Phil, you know, because it's so hard to lose your last game. And, you know, now it's going to stick with you the whole summer. But, you know, Kobe had the Olympics, right? So now he's got a chance to, like,
Redeem.
get back into beating somebody. And so, of course, they end up playing Spain in, you know, for the gold medal against Pau. And, you know, it's on YouTube. I watched it recently. Him, you know, just kind of leveling Pau during the game and just kind of standing over him like, you know, this is what
This needs to happen.
this is
Pau
who
got,
you need
you
to
don't
be.
want to say it, but Pau got bullied. Pau got punked a lot, but Kobe took that shit personal. And Kobe had a it was always out of love, but he was tough on Powell because he saw how great Powell was. And I think Powell had spoke on how Kobe kind of molded him kind of into a different mindset because Powell was always so talented. But I remember Boston, they just tried to punk him.
Yep.
KG, Perk, all them dudes, and that's what they did. And Kobe fucking hated that shit. So when it happened in the Olympics, I remember that. And I was just like, Powell, this is what the fuck needed to happen. But I saw that in the locker room sometimes. Like, he would be hard on Powell because he knew how great Powell was. He was just such a nice guy, and Kobe didn't like that on the court.
Right. Yeah, you can be nice off the court,
he didn't like that shit on the court.
Well, then he, when, we were getting ready for that next season, Kobe hung his gold medal in Powell's locker just to remind him.
So cold.
Right?
Only Kobe. Only Kobe would do some shit like that.
So now we get back to the NBA Finals, but it's against Orlando. And it's funny because, we ended up afterwards having Dwight Howard on our team, and that was, Orlando was Dwight Howard's team at that time, and we're playing them in the finals. And, it was great to be redeemed and win that championship. So now the following year, we get back to the NBA Finals, and this time it is against Boston. And it is, the way things should have been. and no, but having it go to a Game 7, you couldn't have written it any better. That's what's so great about sports is it's so dramatic and ironic and emotional and hysterical and just every different kind
every emotion you can imagine.
Yeah. And so beating them was super sweet, and that was in 2010.
Closing this segment out, we got quick hitters. First up, Paul George, 5 straight 30-point games. He's averaging 33 over his last 5. Majority without Kawhi. Kawhi just returned last night. Clippers are 8-1 over this span. Jack, will he be able to do it in the playoffs? He was very serious when he looked in the camera on the show in the preseason, or excuse me, in the summertime, and said he's on one this year, and he hasn't let us down.
Nah, I think he's on one. I think the plus is having Rondo, because a lot of those possessions where they're doing pick and rolls and they're trying to do too much and trying to get that shot off, Rondo gonna bring the ball up and give it right to him on that block, right to him in a sweet spot. You know what I mean? So a lot of shots he's taking now are going to be higher percentage shots and shots, in his range. And Kawhi, too. They're both going to get a lot of post-ups, more shots where they don't have to create, where they can just go straight to the basket. So I think he can do it. Like I said, with the addition of Rondo, these guys are going to get the ball in their sweet spots, and they won't have to do too much off the dribble. And that's definitely beneficial for guys like Paul and Kawhi, especially going to the playoffs.
Yeah, I definitely thought the biggest pickup was Drummond with the Lakers, but the next biggest pickup was Rondo. And as we mentioned earlier, it's not even so much his numbers. His numbers, 6.5 points, 5 rebounds, but it's just his experience, his calming, his understanding of where to get the guys the ball, where they want it, when they want it, and then taking some playmaking pressure off both Kawhi and PG. So to answer your question, yeah, I think PG can keep this rolling. I'm excited to see him keep this rolling, because I think the Clippers got a great shot again. I think the Clippers got another great shot. And this is going to be a big season, because this is, last year, like they said, it wasn't make or break for them. I don't necessarily think this year's make or break, but it's going to be ugly, because you don't get too many chances, playing next door to the Lakers. So, excited to see what this team can do healthy in the playoffs. Donovan Mitchell out at least a week with a sprained ankle. Gobert and Conley also sat recently against the Lakers on the injury report. Mitchell's missed 4 games this season. The Jazz are 7-8 all time without Mitchell. Do you see the Jazz sliding at all if Mitchell doesn't return in the next week or two?
Yeah, I do. He's a big part of their success, the leading scorer on their team, and he does a lot for their team. He's their leader. Obviously, Conley can also lead the team, but scoring-wise, it's all Donovan Mitchell. So this team is definitely going to slide. They're going to have to find out where their scoring is going to come from. I think Jordan is going to have to step up and do more than what he's been doing off the bench coming into a starting role. So we'll see, but, hey, it's just bad timing for the Utah Jazz.
Yeah. Jordan Clarkson most likely is going to win Sixth Man of the Year. He had a big game the other night against the Lakers. It's going to be interesting to see. Like I said, for some reason, I'm just going to have to see what Utah could do in the playoffs. I was, saying before the trade deadline, I thought this team would have been great if you would have picked up, someone who could really score, make a move, and everyone thought I was crazy. But I just don't know, like for a situation like this, although Mitchell's going to return, if they don't have him, they're shot. You know what I mean? So it's going to be interesting to see. Hopefully he gets healthy soon and come back and pick up where he left off because he's had a great season as well. Next up, there's been a Jabari Parker signing. He made his Boston Celtics debut on Friday, where he scored 11 points, going 5 for 6 from the field in 16 minutes. Jack, I really like this dude coming into the league, and I'm not sure if it's just been injury or the right situation, but if he can somehow, find his game, I definitely think he'll be a good addition, given the Celtics' depth going into the playoffs, because the kid is strong, skilled, a good offensive game, but I think he's just been riddled by injury his whole career.
Yeah, I agree with you, Matt. He's been going through a lot injury-wise, and I thought he was going to be able to ball out in Chicago when he went to Chicago, But in this position he's in now, all you have to do is catch, finish, or rebound, And I think as talented as he is, he's gonna do that with flying colors because you can drop the ball to him in certain possessions, he can get his own bucket. So being able to just catch and finish now with two young stars on the wings, it's a good position for him, and I think he can play a big role with them, especially in the playoffs.
I completely agree. I think this is a great pickup. I hope he can stay healthy and give them a boost to that front line because, like you said, he's someone that works well in that baseline mid-range area and definitely could be a boost for the Celtics come playoff time. Jack, we got some breaking news, bro. Fresh off the wire. Chet Holmgren, who will be in the Iverson Classic game next month. We will be coaching. #1 player in the country. Projected #1 pick of the 2022 draft has just committed to Gonzaga, who just made a national championship run and fell short. Jalen Suggs is most likely out of here, so they replace him with the #1 player in the country. Thoughts on this?
Dope, man. I haven't seen too much of this kid, but you've been hot. You've been telling me you've seen him, and a lot of people that's talked about him said this kid is a shoo-in for the #1 pick. So I'm anxious to see him in the Allen Iverson game, which I hope you all tune into. But I'm excited to see this kid, man. Everybody's spoken so highly of him.
Yeah, I mean it's crazy to me. I love that there's kind of been a shift in college basketball, and Gonzaga's a powerhouse. That's definitely shout out to Mark Few. He's been over there 20, 30 years and kind of completely changed the program and way teams are looked at. And now making a great run, being able to place your #1 player with the #1 player in the country. Look to Gonzaga to continue to play well next season behind Chet.
It's hard for you to talk about that, huh? It's hard for you to give Gonzaga props right now.
No, not at all.
Still,
I mean,
the wound not open no more. The wound's still open, ain't it?
No, not necessarily. I mean, it was a tough shot. It was a tough shot. But I was just happy. This team, this is the 11th. They had to do a play-in game, bro, and they made it to the Final Four. So I'm just happy for them kids, and I think everyone's coming back. And we got Peyton Watson coming next year. Shout out to little homie Peyton Watson, who gave Chet work at Snoop's 3-on-3 Legends basketball tournament.
Yeah, he dunked on it.
So man, but he was just doing everything out there. So we're gonna be reloaded next year. Hopefully, we got all of our guys coming back too. So it's gonna be a fun little run. So again, congrats to Chet and Gonzaga. Closing thoughts. We mentioned last week we wanted to get our All the Smoke social page up to 420,000 followers by 420, which is tomorrow. So we're at 405,000. So we urge you to continue to follow, push that button, tell your friends. We got some dope content coming for you guys tomorrow. Some cool shit me and Jack shot. Jack, what are you going to be doing for 420?
Oh, man, my every day is 420 for me. Obviously, I got a homeboy who's bringing me some variety. So I'm just going to sit here, man. I'm in Ramadan, so I'm just chilling, man, enjoying myself, and probably hang out with a couple of the brothers.
You're going to be smoking that good weed with a dry-ass mouth.
Yeah, what I'm doing now.
Enjoy that. Yeah, man, I got to go to Sacramento quick. I got a meeting with the mayor in the morning for some funding for a project I'm working on. Then I'm going to hop back on the plane and come down back out to L.A. and just kick my feet up, man. Enjoy. Like you said, every day is 420. So I'm going to tell the kids, don't bother me. I'm going to sit in my little room and just do what I got to do. That's it. Anyway, man, we hope you guys enjoyed this edition of What's Burning. You can find us every Monday on Showtime Basketball YouTube.
And on Twitter at Show Basketball. Peace.
See y'all next week.
City is on edge. You don't want National Guard on every corner. This is where the ask comes. I can do this on my own, or we can work together.
You tread lightly this time. You're gonna make a mess.
Yeah, well, I love making messes.
Maybe there's some justice in the world. Someone cares about the truth.
You make sure the right thing's done.
It's bigger than the two of us now.